I guess long-term competition concerns you have to be worried about. I think the advantage that Netflix has is I think they're going to Khrushchev the competition. I think they're going to bury them in content spend. Look, the numbers go as follows. They're spending $13 billion cash out this year on content, and it's going to rise by $1 billion or $2 billion for the next 5 years. At some point, there's going to be a $20 billion cash content spend by Netflix. Nobody can match that, and I think they can do it profitably too, because every year they're bringing in. Now we're doing about 24 million new subs a year, and that adds up in terms of the amount of revenue that comes in, so they can do this profitably. Margins are rising, and the key thing for the free cash flow folks out there that's really important is they committed to peak free cash flow burn. It's going to be this year, 18 and 19, and then it's going to start coming down. That's kind of been the last bastion of the bears argument, and now it's changed.
But they say the more we spend, the more subscribers we get, and you believe that will continue to be the case, even when they get to as much as, it seems like the number's almost hard to imagine, $20 billion?
Well, so you have to work into the math. Like, this is a company that's on track to have 250 million subscribers worldwide, each paying them about $10. Actually, it's going to be 12 to 13 bucks because they're proving pricing power. So yes, they can afford that. You should expect them to take 50% of those incremental subs revenue and apply it to content and feed the machine. They've been doing it successfully, and margins in the U.S. have ramped pretty consistently. So unless somebody screws up with the magic, somehow a new competitive risk comes in. But I just think the distance between them and competing offers keeps rising. It's harder for somebody to take on Netflix now than it was 5 years ago.
We do have Disney coming online.
Yep.
We do have AT&T. You do have rising rates, and I'm sure you've read the key downgrade today is about investment efficiency that's not knocking people's socks off. I mean, when do these add up?
Well, I think in some ways they're all there on the stock, but the question is what's going to really break it. And at the end of the day, it's always subs and it's subs and it's subs. And so what you have is an accelerating for momentum investors and for fundamental investors. It's really the same thing. You've got accelerating sub ads, pricing power, and expanding margins. I don't know another place in tech where you can get that package right now. Maybe Amazon. That's about the only other place, and that's why the stock works near term. But we think it works long term. We think valuation-wise, this is a company that can generate $25 in GAAP earnings with positive free cash flow within 5 years. The market's going to put a 20, 30 multiple on that. So there's a path here to a $600, $750 stock. If you can get this thing down to 300, and that rounding down to 300, it's a double in 3 years. That's our valuation pitch.
But if they continue to keep spending more money and you have rates rising, are investors really going to be that keen to keep buying the stock?
Well, the question actually may be, can they get the debt deals off? Because they're going to need debt financing for a while, and interest rates are rising. And though they were asked about it on the earnings call last night, they seem confident that they can still get reasonable terms on debt. But, that's an unknown. Maybe that's the biggest near-term risk on the stock. They do a debt offering, and it backfires on them.
I don't want to understate the creative power of people out there in the world, but the idea that they're going to be spending $20 billion. Amazon, I can only imagine, will be spending at least half that potentially in that same time frame, not to mention Disney and everybody else. Is there going to be enough programming, good programming, to actually support all these services?
Well, the derivative off this is this should be a great time for content creators. I mean, you've got 3, 4 mega bidders for your content. I mean, they're spending more than traditional media companies did. So if you're a great, we're in the wrong job. We should be in the content creation business.
Well, we kind of consider what we do, content creation,
Yes,
a little bit, and maybe more so, who knows. But they'll never get into news, live news, or something like that. Right?
I think that's highly unlikely. Sports, highly unlikely. I think this is on-demand programming, and so if it's live sports, it kind of negates the on-demand part of it.
He did talk about whether or not they'd have to diversify years and years from now, and didn't really see any major pivots they would have to do a la DVDs to streaming a few years ago.
I'm sure there'll be some pivot for Netflix. This may be 5 to 10, 15 years out. What if we get to group virtual reality in the home on Friday nights? I mean, Reed's right in that he competes for content. Yep. He competes for entertainment dollars, entertainment time. So if something comes out there, some great new entertainment experience that gets us to stop watching video and does something interactive, that's the concern for Netflix, but that's 5 to 10 years out.
You mentioned that it's all about the subs.
Yeah.
What's more important? And I realize that domestically, the numbers are slowing, the growth is slowing, but what's more important? Continuing to add domestic subscribers or international?
International, because now the international sub base is bigger. But just so we get the numbers right, the international sub ads are accelerating, and U.S. sub ads have been kind of in this 5.5 million for 5 straight years. So they're not slowing.
Okay.
They've been pretty consistent. Now, last quarter they did slow, but for the full year, domestic sub ads are going to be about the same as last year, which is pretty good. So we're now going to end this year with 60 million subs. Reed Hastings a few years ago prophesied that the company could get 60 to 90 million U.S. subs. He's just hitting the lower end of his range. If he He knows what he's talking about. There should be another 15 million subs at least to come.